someone who is rarely stopped before the grand finals. The Korean player definitely looking to make a mark and make it through.
And if Serral wins this tournament, he'll become the earningest Starcraft 2 player or Starcraft player of all time.
Wow, really?
He would pass Maru and Rogue. All right, let's get it going. On Port Alexander, starting in the bottom right-hand side of the map, playing against the Blue Zerg. It is Finland's Serral.
And the challenger up here in the top left-hand side of the map, the Red Zerg. He's aggressive, he's decisive. It is Chivo SoO.
Player known for his many second places here, facing the best player in the world in Serral. No early pull, no crazy shenanigans here in this mirror, at least in map number 1. And it's just going to be a hatchery first from both players. So the exact same timing, so perhaps a little bit of a mirror here.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Very similar openings.
Maybe
It's funny because a lot of Zergs, I started with a few European Zergs like a laser. They started doing the 16 hatch against Terran to get the Queen out earlier. And it's something which we see Serral do in pretty much every matchup now. So the earlier hatchery just means his Queens will sync up a little bit closer. SoO, of course, having just a little bit more mining by having the one extra drone out for a few seconds early. It is one of the most minor, tiny differences you'd only even notice or care about if you were a massive StarCraft nerd like myself. If you're a high-level player, even there, it very rarely changes up the timings. Looking at SoO's income, same as Serral's, same work account, very similar gas timings, and it's just the Overlords kind of going across and looking to scout each other out. Port Alexander, it's a big map, so the players very rarely going for any sort of early pull on this map.
What do you think differentiates Serral from everybody else? Like, it's very hard to figure out what the players that are ahead of the curve, like what they do differently, right? I mean, if we knew, obviously, more people would be able to reciprocate their training and their results. But if you had to guess and theorize in terms of what has brought success to him, even though he practices outside of South Korea for the majority of time,
I think there's like an X factor. There's something which allows these players to win games and make comebacks which other players can't, right? Because StarCraft, there is luck involved in terms of certain moments. There's imperfect information. You can't always make the exact right decision, right? But Serral, he has this ability. I mean, we just saw Hero make multiple comebacks over the last few days.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Hero doesn't look as dominating in the macro game, right? You know, in these scrappy games, he looks good. Serral can kind of do both. He has these macro games where things go poorly for him. Things look like the game has gone kind of off the rails. Everything's gone awry. And Serral finds a way to bring it back. He has an ability to stay laser focused as the game state changes around him. It feels like just the plasticity of his brain and the way he adjusts to the situation is on an entirely another level.
Yeah, Hero has a Dark Shrine to work with, I guess. Obviously,
Serral's got a Nidus Worm.
Yeah. With Serral, it feels like he reads the game so well, even in some of his previous series. Like when he played against Solar earlier in the tournament, he had that one crazy comeback that Roddy showed us on the desk, and that was just like, he read the game perfectly in terms of how he had to pull back, buy a little bit of time, and then re-engage and stuff. So even if he falls quite a bit behind in the game, he's very capable of coming back. So for SoO to have any success here in this series, it's going to have to be, I think, through making sure he's not the one that falls behind. Because when Serral gets ahead, it's all going to be almost impossible to come back against him. If anything, he's the one that comes back if he somehow finds a way to do it.
And it is very much mirrored builds. Evo Chambers going down for both sides. Very similar work accounts. SoO actually playing a flawless macro game so far. Exceptionally light Ling Bane pressure. Serral actually has more Zerglings, more Banelings, and yet is on the defensive. So SoO kind of saying, hey, look, let's try and just posture, create some threat here, try and distract you. And I'm actually just going to be being very greedy behind this.
Nice snipe here from Serral, sacrificing 2 Lings to get that one Baning that was forward. +1 missile starting on both sides, and Serral with the lair quite a bit earlier than SoO here.
And that Zergling Scout did just get in, and it saw that there was no lair of SoO. So Serral, this is one of his things in this matchup specifically, his ability to see everything that's going on. Those Zerglings of his, they always find their way around the backsides, slide into the base, and get him that information. Another Ling scouts the third, but he sees a few workers there, and you can see the way he micros this. Constantly looking. Oh, that Baneling wanted to blow up on it. Doesn't quite end up getting it. SoO going to do a Ling Bane pressure. He's up 6 workers. The macro is off the chain here for the Korean Zerg.
Yeah, both players here looking to try and squeeze out as many drones as they can before entering the Roach phase. Your favorite pick, Clear Reconstitution, already on the way.
And Serral is the master of it. Nobody looks as good in the Roach vs. Roach stage as Serral. His ability to fight, posture, counterattack in multiple areas at once and always pull out of a bad situation and commit into the good situation. His ability to look at the state of a situation on a particular screen, choose if it's a good engagement or a bad one, and choose to either keep committing or to pull back. He does that quicker than anybody else. It's the secret to Serral's success in the mid to late game. He can just wear his opponent down by picking fights on multiple fronts, and over time, he tends to take more efficient, more intelligent trades.
Actually, we see a Spire here going down from SoO. The only time I saw a Spire earlier
straight away,
immediately spotted. I don't think he cancels though.
No, I think he's still good.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only time I saw a Spire earlier, there was a Nidus, a bunch of Queens, and a very quick game. Because I mean, if you're going Mutas, you're saving a bunch of gas. You won't have nearly as many units. So is SoO actually able to read into that and make enough units? Yeah, it's going to be key here for him to be able to hold on against this.
Looks set on going for the 4th base.
Yeah, I mean,
he's making more drones.
I think he has no idea, really.
That's going to be very hard to stop, Todd. As you said, how many Queens are there actually on the unit scout? Ooh, we're going to go Serral's first-person view. An absolutely beautiful, rare treat here. Seeing inside the eyes of the world champion. Posturing at the front, he's popped down a Nidus Worm there, and he's coming in. Ooh, Baneling's actually trying to get the cancel on that Nidus Worm, but they're not going to be able to get it.
Yeah, good defense here by Serral on the Nidus so far. He's going to have to try and regroup. Roaches plus Serral first-person. Contain yourself big.
It's a big attack, the Roach advantage here. Notice he's just pushing forwards, making sure all of his Roaches are attacking at once. Another Nidus Worm had already been queued up in the main base, and he is ready at any point to reinforce that main. SoO on the back foot, his army falling. He's got to pull drones into the fight, but Serral withdrawing, pulling back, and taking those drones out at the same time. Roaches diving into the main.
SoO had so many Roaches in the production tab that just couldn't quite get there on time, and now 23 drones have died, more are gonna fall. Serral all over the place inside of the main base of SoO as well, stretching him apart, and SoO, it feels like he's lost so much already, can't even hold on here in the main base.
These Roaches coming back up here for SoO, trying desperately to defend, but the numbers are still relatively even. His drone lines were ransacked, and Serral, a crisp, clean Game 1 victory. The world champion in fine form here at Katowice.
Easy forehands. Hero is somewhere watching, quaking in his boots.
He's planning some one-base cannon rushes, I think. We'll have to see what ends up coming out. I mean, that is just
We've had enough 3-0s for now.
Oh, yeah. We sure have. And I mean, I think it's this weird thing when you're playing Serral as well. Like, you're so afraid of his late game that you kind of want to sneak some mutas out or something like that. You want to get ahead on the work account. SoO had the economy advantage that game and just didn't see what was going on. Serral, on the other hand, what was it? The Ling saw the exact lair timing. He saw the Spire 2 seconds after it went down. Serral sees everything, and it's just this weird feeling because nobody else gets to play Zerg vs. Zerg with as much information as Serral does. But Serral has this ability to defend flawlessly, hit all of his macro, his injects, his workers are flooding out. And at the same time, these Lings are so slippery. They're always just running around. They evade the enemy Zerglings, and he always seems to find a way into that base. That's very frustrating for SoO.
Do you think because of how the new Nidus is, it's just not nearly as viable to go Spire anymore and it's become much riskier perhaps, or?
You know, I think if you're going to do it, you still can, but it's got to be the fast, kind of maybe +1 melee, or straight into Mutalisks, play the Mutaling Bane sort of style. Something like we saw Raynor bring against Serral a lot at Montreal last year, and that was a very close 4-3 series where Serral was behind in a lot of the games in that series, and ZVZ balance is pretty much the same now. Yeah, the Nidus is a little bit stronger, but I definitely think those mobility-focused styles are a bit better. We saw here, this was like, hey, I'm playing a Roach macro game, but I'm going to sneak a Spire in the back. And even if you hide that, it's very delayed mutas. It's not a big counter mutas, and it's a big expenditure. So it's kind of just not a good build order against Serral, who was stopping about 10 drones short, staying on 3 base, going for the Nidus Worm. SoO, I think he just kind of assumed Serral was going to go up to about 65, 70 workers and play the real late game style. But Serral mixes these aggressive build orders in, so you've got to keep your eyes open.
Yeah, that was a quick reaction. Like, he literally saw the Spire and instantly in the production tab, I saw the Nidus. He knew exactly what he had to go for and had a very successful attack. The one Nidus in the main really what sealed the deal, because he was doing some damage onto that 3rd base. He killed a bunch of drones, but he wasn't game-ending necessarily.
And we are going to be launching into that 2nd map here. A decisive Game 1 victory from the man up here in the top right-hand side. Your Finnish world champion. He is Serral.
His opponents, representing Team Chivo in South Korea, it is SoO.
A rare treat here, getting to see Serral in the flesh playing the amazing level of Starcraft that he's so known for. It is going to be similar opening build orders for both sides. And it is, of course, new repugnancy in this map. Medium rush distance, relatively standard map layout, and one where, you know, Serral, he's prone to doing those same sort of openings. You know, hatchery into the 3rd, gets the banelings, goes for the fast roach upgrades. He's very solid at it, and he's not afraid to build a few extra Zerglings, as we saw in that last game. SoO did take a small worker lead throughout the early stages, but it wasn't really enough to say, hey, I've got a big advantage on you or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really surprising, right? Neither player are particularly the cheesiest of the Zergs that you could find out there. So for them to open like this kind of standard and, you know, head into like the normal mid-game and then try to make something bigger happen from there is, I think, kind of what we would have expected here out of this matchup. Even though obviously it's EVT, sometimes things go completely crazy and we see huge rushes. So far, nothing of the sort here between these two. And Serral, it just feels like he's so insanely good on many things, but like mechanically, he also just doesn't miss a beat. He'll always be a little bit ahead on the drone count and units. And perhaps his best quality is knowing when to make units and knowing when to make drones, which, I mean, is kind of like the key of playing Zerg at the end of the day, right? But like in his case, he'll always squeeze out a few drones here and there, build that worker count consistently up until the point he's decided he's made enough, then he just makes units and steamrolls people.
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because Ling Bane wars in the start, I feel like it's so chaotic for a lot of players to deal with. For Serral, he's often got like 1 or 2 Banelings, even whilst Lings are flooding across, and he makes 1 or 2 more. And you're like, really? That's it? And as the fight goes on, he'll add another Baneling when he needs it, and another Baneling, and a few more Zerglings. And he's droning in the midst of these pushes where any other player would be panicking and really, really focusing on the unit production. And ooh, there goes up. I don't think the Zergling scouted that.
Yeah, he waited for that to actually die and then started it. And he starts it on the natural, maybe hoping that if Serral scouts with an Overlord, it'd be towards more the main base.
Well, he started it just after the Ling got in, so he probably thought, you know what, the Ling might survive just for a few more seconds, so let's just get it up there at the natural. Obviously, you know, cancelling any Zergling speed upgrade.
What do you think, Nidus?
I mean, it's 2 base Roach. We're seeing 7 more drones. We're going to go up to at least 35. Pretty standard setup here for SoO. I mean, he's got to drop a couple more gases.
Sick. It's always the Nidus, bro.
Actually, you know what? SoO has been like the least Nidus-y out of every player in this entire
That's exactly what he's going to do it here.
I was saying to Maynard before, I don't know if SoO reads the patch notes, man. He just plays the same no matter what's happening in recent balance. I would love to see him throw out a Nidus Worm. That being said, Serral has demolished so many Nidus Worms in the group stage. He just shut them down, even with mass Zergling sometimes.
It feels like Serral so far, I mean, we're only in map number 2, but he's the only one that really tries very hard to scout all the time in comparison to SoO. Like, SoO has barely attempted anything. I mean, game 1, maybe he had like 1 or 2 links that tries to sneak by, and that were denied, but he's not scouting a whole lot. That's what kind of convinces me. He wants to play aggressive here, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to Lambo, and I'm of the same opinion, when you look at the way SoO plays, it really does look like he has an idea of what his game plan is before the game starts. He's not necessarily looking to react to as much. He will scout a little bit, but for instance, the Lair's done, there's no Overseer going across. Why? Because he stopped at 37 workers and he's massing roaches. Roach speed and +1 are going to line up to finish in about 30 seconds or so. So he's definitely going to push across with these roaches. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not an all-in attack. He can take a third base behind it. He can continue in the game, but if Serral can defend that, he's got a third base up. And if we take a look at that third, there's already a good handful of workers mining there. The moment he defends any roach attack, he's going to build a big round of workers, and he's suddenly going to have a huge economy advantage. So already up 44 drones to 37. Serral knowing he has to mass roaches to be safe here.
Yeah, I think SoO was trying to scout across the map with an Overseer, and that was denied for the most part with some Queen, but still doing some flying around. Okay, he sees the timing on that Lair, sees that it's not even finished yet for Serral, and he's got Clear Reconstitution about to finish, so
here we go. First attack moving out. Now, he did just add a few drones behind this, which makes me think he's got to go for a third base. Otherwise, those drones make no sense. So I really think SoO's going to be taking a third. He's going to commit hard to this, but he's got to pay attention to when the roaches move in Serral's favor, and he has to pull back. If he doesn't, the counterattack from Serral will be brutal.
There's some links here are going to get caught, maybe trying to delay the attack a little bit, threatening to attack from behind. They're going across the map. Okay, so a little bit hesitant, setting up on the high ground there.
He might need those to help him defend here. We are seeing this Roach Ball is posturing a few ravages making as well. Going to add those corrosive piles into the mix. 22 roaches versus 21. And the defensive rally, of course, is closer here for Serral. +2 range is on the way now for SoO as well. He's looking for an angle. Oh, the Zergling's being forced to engage. Nice corrosive bile there. Does force the roaches of Serral to dodge around, but a good arc from Serral maintains that position. And all things considered, a good defense from the Finnish Zerg.
And this hasn't done anything. Only now he's SoO starting his third base. Serral already has his, so if he starts on injecting now, and I expect he will very soon, he's going to be in a fantastic spot. By the way, in those fights, Serral, I've noticed something. He almost never gets hit by a corrosive bile. As I say that, he almost did now, but almost. So good at dodging those.
Yeah.
Look at this, he
pulls
back.
Disengages every single time, or he moves straight through them. Now, the problem here, of course, is he doesn't have roach speed, so SoO's just taking advantage of the superior mobility of his army. But, oh, he's gone a little bit deep here. I think Serral might be able to punish that. The corrosive piles, though, forcing the disengage again. SoO taking some awesome engagements here, using the fastest speed of these Glial Reconstitution roaches. They are just going in and out, in and out. The micro is fantastic here. SoO, the mechanical beast, taking as good trades as he possibly can.
Yeah, a lot of these roaches are actually really low. It feels like he should just get Burrow and help regenerate those in a moment, but I don't know if he will.
A lot of players would have felt forced to really force their way in as SoO. But SoO, he's got the third up, he's now started droning, and he's taken amazing trades. I'd love to see the units lost tab really quickly as well. Nice contaminate!
And Glial Reconstitution is like 90% done, and SoO's gonna continue. He's very committed to this still. He's not necessarily droning that much more.
Even Army Supply, he's got the roach speed, he's got the superior Ravage account. The biles give him a big advantage here. But a big bile lands there for Serral. Serral desperately trying to hang on. Another Queen pops out, it's going to join the fray. A random drone tries to join the fight on SoO's side. It does go down.
I think he headbutted a roach before dying.
Yeah, maybe shouted some mean words at it as well. But 52 workers for SoO. He's droned up behind this. 2 more gases on the way. SoO's taking a nice advantage. His +2 range has just kicked in as well.
Yeah, and I think he's going to want to try to use that to keep on engaging. It's tricky, to be honest, for Serral. Like I said, he's doing a very good job of dodging this corrosive bile, but because he has to set up a concave in between like the hatchery, he doesn't have that much room to really dodge that. So either he goes backwards and then most of his units are still getting shot at, or he go towards the army of SoO and then he's kind of trapped up close. Yeah, again,
he's going to look for a Ravager snipe. He wants to get a Roach or a Ravager on the retreat. And it looks like, there we go, SoO's going to turn around and say, all right, you want to fight? Come at me, mate. I've still got a big army here. I've got the upgrade advantage.
Serral is going for a Nidus. He's saying, did you really think you're the one that's going to attack like this? I'm the one that's going to attack you. And in a moment, I think he's going to Nidus across the map and go for the offensive, perhaps in the main base. And let's see if SoO's going to be ready by then. Whoa! Serral! That was move command here, very unconventional, and he's just going to tap out.
Yeah, I mean, he'd already scouted the third base being fully saturated for SoO. He no doubt realized he was down an upgrade as well. And SoO there with just fantastic micro. The biles were perfectly placed every time to break Serral's concave. The ability to move in, sniper, roach, and pull back over and over again by SoO. That was insane micro, and he took great trades throughout that. So SoO just overpowering in a situation where I've seen Serral defend that attack many times, where the player on SoO's side just kind of commits to the fight. I've never seen a Zerg dance in and out as well as SoO did, and just somehow use that mobility advantage to take the lead.
Serral maybe a little bit flustered and annoyed here because that move out was definitely unconventional. Like, we've seen him pull off great comebacks. Now it was almost like, he tilted a little bit. Even that move command here at the end. And he had the Nidus on the way. I feel like if he had just sat back and tried to Nidus multi-places at once, maybe even tried something like Tunneling Claws, maybe he would have been able to do enough damage to really come back in this game. But obviously, his numbers were behind the supply. It's heavily in favor of SoO.
The supply,
indeed. All right, see what you did there.
The best sort of supply. I think Serral definitely could have left his Lings on the map. Remember the start of that engage? The Zerglings came in, and they kind of did nothing. They just kind of washed up on the roaches. Whereas if you've got those Zerglings cutting off reinforcements, threatening counterattacks, potentially even getting a cancel on the third, that can make a big difference. He also ran out of gas, and his roach speed was incredibly late. So Serral there maybe mislining up his minerals and gas slightly. And without the roach speed, he wasn't able to punish SoO for being so deep on his side of the map.
So going to have to stay calm and collected, not to let that happen again. Maybe he misread the build a little bit, you think? Or like in terms of when he started the lair, because he saw that SoO was kind of sticking to 2 bases, not starting a third hatchery, walling off, and he saw the double Evo and the roach warren. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like his position was okay. It was acceptable. Ideally, he would have cancelled any Baneling nest he had on the way if he wasn't sure that it was that sort of build. But I think Serral, he had the information. I think he realized pretty quickly. He's very good at scouting with those 2 Zerglings. So even though the lair went up, I think Serral just kind of miscalculated the power of that roach push. Potentially a little bit of miss micro here or there.
You mean he overestimated it or underestimated it?
I think he underestimated the ability of it to just kind of pick away at him, right? I think he thought the initial brunt was a bit too strong and underestimated the ability for it to just pick away. But here he is with another chance. The series is now tied up in the top left-hand side. Representing NC Sports, the Finnish phenom, he is Serral.
We'll work on that. His opponent, starting at the top right-hand side of the map, playing as the Red Zerg, it is Chivos SoO. We'll give him the French citizenship if that happens.
Oh, I think there's going to be a battle there. SoO is going to be opening up with the hatchery first again. After that last game, going as well as it did, I wonder if SoO's just going to go for the same sort of gasless opening and skip the Ling speed, cut that entire stage out, and just say, let's go straight up to roach speed, +1. This is a much bigger map. If you go for that, I'd much prefer a Nidus Worm attack. Maybe your 50, 55 workers. Get your third base up, get up to 4 or 5 gases. I don't think you're going to be winning this map with any sort of early roach rush. That being said, such a big map does lend itself to more mobile play. Mutalisks, upgraded Zerglings, these are all fantastic choices. Not necessarily things I've seen SoO play a lot, but players prepare a lot of secrets before these tournaments. It's a big amount of money and pride on the line, so we'll have to see how far SoO's skill range goes.
Because of the way the map is set up and the long rush distance, so obviously, let's not get too much into the Nidus potential, we all know it's there. Does this map maybe lend more towards seeing longer game with 4 or 5 bases and maybe some hive tech? Or are we at the point in ZVZ, we are in Protoss versus Protoss, where these players have gotten so good that they usually won't let it get that far, they'll just keep on attacking, and one of them will find weaknesses in the defense of the opponent and kind of win the game before that?
I feel like the Zergs have gotten so good at being aggressive in the mid-game. It's hard to get up to that Lurker Spore Crawler stage. We saw it a lot last previous map pools. Maps like Cerulean Fall, right? You could kind of protect 4 bases very easy, very compact. If you look at this base, there's a lot of kind of spread as you move down to your 4th and 5th base. So you can see you get kind of spread out here, especially when you need to go down all the way to this bottom corner. That one's really far away. So once you get to the 5 base stage, there's so many openings for Tunneling Claw Roaches to just burrow their way into your bases. Nidus Worms. There was an insane game of actually Denver versus Solar in the open bracket on this map. They went for like 20 minutes of just non-stop roach counterattacks, and it never went past 60 workers on both sides. It was like maybe you'd get to 65.
Sounds like a wet dream.
But then you'd lose 10 workers right after that. Indeed, it was a very exciting match, and we are seeing a couple Zerglings down here as well. Ling Bane for both sides. Hey, it's a big map, as I said. Not a bad choice.
Who do you give the advantage to in terms of those Ling and Banes, micro-wise? I guess Serral a lot of the time, even though SoO is pretty darn good at it, or anybody in particular?
I think the more a player commits aggressively into Serral, the further ahead he gets, almost always.
Yeah.
He's so good at absorbing and defending damage efficiently. I think if you just kind of do some light pressure, play defensively, you'll be totally fine. You can stay toe-to-toe with him. It's about the next steps, and it's about your ability to block his scouting whilst getting your own information. That's where Serral always wins in the Ling Bane wars, because he can handle skirmishes on the map, and at the same time, these cheeky little boys are almost always going to find a way in. Any other player would have got those Lings surrounded there. Serral pulls them back, saves them for another day. This is just the ability of Serral to react so quickly. Another 2 Lings going across. He says, okay, those 2 have been spotted. No worries.
They're getting chased too.
Yeah.
They're literally a decoy.
At this point, he just says, no worries. We'll go home, man. Those Lings are going to dive in, and they're going to check exactly what's going on behind this. And this is why Serral has the comfort to already start +1 range. 7 more drones in the production tab. And he comes in. Evo and Roach Warren sees the wall off. Sees a drone on the 3rd as well.
I think last
That's
game,
important.
what really messed up Serral as well is that he had to pull Queens to fight against the Roach attack of SoO, and he wasn't ejecting neither on the natural or third base. So even though he had 1 more hatchery, his production wasn't actually superior to what SoO had going for him.
Yeah, even though he had the income advantage, the fights were going really against him as well. So the combination of those factors, it was interesting to see SoO just micro his way to victory. And he's a mechanical god. There's a reason we respect SoO so much. He's had such a storied career over the years. So many fans all around the world. You know, we've been there for his highs, also his many lows.
If you play with fire, you get burnt big. Ooh. That's what happens. SoO not paying attention.
Serral not paying attention, actually, there.
Okay, Serral.
Pretty uncharacteristic for the world champ to headbutt like that.
Wow.
I mean, there were 2 Banelings that went down, but yes, the units
they
lost
don't count
graph there didn't show up.
Job.
They're like, no, they chose to die. I guess that does make sense. Lots of drones here, but SoO's already up in the advantage behind this. The Queen does a good job. Only 2 workers going down. It is Roach first Roach. Overlord speed on the way. Serral going to use that to continue his map hack ability to see everything that's on the map.
Do you think Serral maybe is a little bit annoyed by the way the previous game went? Like even the end, I think, was very uncharacteristic. Like the way he was going, like he moved out, he commanded his army into SoO's, and then now this happening out of Serral?
Yeah, the edges could be starting to fray. You know, Serral, his ability to laser focus when he's under pressure, when things aren't going right, is one of his big skills, but he still does wake up on the wrong side of the bed sometimes. We do see days where his skill dips a little bit here or there, starts making a few more mistakes. The question is, can he adapt? Can he deal with that? He's up 3 workers now. Overseer comes in, Changeling gets into the main base here for SoO, and he's going to be able to kind of see what's going on, but nope, does get sniped down there. Nicely done. Sees the 4th base here on the north side, and SoO taking the same. So it's a mirror matchup right now. This time around, though, Serral does have the +2 range advantage. His one has started a little bit earlier. SoO starts his instantly after the previous one finishes, and that's a beautiful Dropper Lord right there. Where is that? Is it for Banelings or Roaches?
Probably Banelings, I think.
Normally it's like 4 Roaches, but that's got to be 4 Banelings. I think you'll go around the south and hit the main, the 3rd base, probably.
Yeah, if you can time that well and the opponent's not looking and you blow up like 10 drones, that would be fantastic. But SoO, he's on the offensive. He's moving across the map.
Yeah, he does have a small army advantage right now. Equal upgrades on both sides. Both of them adding in Ravagers with that excess gas. Of course, they morph very quickly, so it's usually the icing on top of the cake for the Zerg army. Roach first Roach. Now remember, these are ranged units. If you can create an arc and your opponent attacks into it, you've got more units firing at once, and you've got less surface area. So their attacks are going to be spread across a greater number of your units, which means you're going to be maintaining damage output while their damage output falls. That's a very technical analysis, which basically means you have a big arc, they attack into it, it's good for you, it's bad for them, and that's why the defensive position for Serral is good, but SoO's going to try and pull him out of position and find a way to disrupt that.
He's almost there, didn't take any detour, didn't go around. Let's see if SoO reacts here, going straight for that drone line. Here we go!
Banelings dropping out of there, but he doesn't actually focus fire them. The drone pull is good. Does waste mining time here, but that Overlord getting very low is going to redrop the Banelings. The Banelings looking for those workers. Serral not finding the damage. SoO defends it.
Wow, very nicely done by SoO. Serral, I feel like he had an opportunity, and the Overlord's even gonna die. Wow.
More focus here on the front, and that is probably the more important thing to deal with right now. We do see Vials once again being dodged. You can't really force your way through when their whole army's set up, but SoO's rotating. There's an Overseer watching this, and here's where the army splits become important. SoO splitting his army. Roach is on the south, Roach Ravager on the north. Serral needs to split his army very quickly. He's a little bit slow to respond. Is he going to be able to handle this?
I think he's doing it properly so far. Needs to keep on dodging these corrosive buys. Was that the Overseer that just died? Looked like it.
Sure, there is another drop going down across the map as well. And we are seeing Vials landing on both sides.
SoO is committing to this.
Wow, he's committing very hard. Lots of Roaches came back up here, and Serral gets caught out of position. SoO takes a bad fight on the north, but he lures Serral out of position, and his Roach attack on the south side is going to try and take advantage. Serral backstabbing with a Roach drop at the same time. We are seeing a lot of Serral's economy falling, though, and SoO still maintaining position on the front. 17 workers have gone down.
Yeah, that's a lot of them, but Serral is already up to 170 supplies, so if he just keeps on making units from there, he might just be able to get a crazy max out. Goes for 6 more drones, and he's adding more Roaches as well. Where are the upgrades at? Because he had started Carapace and +2, so I think he does have the Carapace lead.
Yeah.
So
He actually had +2 during the beginnings of that battle verse, +1 of SoO as well, so that was
maybe,
really nice.
Maybe he just maxes out purely on units now, and then he gets a bigger army supply before going for the
could
attack.
work. I mean, he's down about 10 workers, so the longer it goes, the more money SoO is getting. But right now, the army is monstrous. Big Biles eaten by Serral, uncharacteristically. 2 of his Ravages fall there. And SoO, he's the one controlling the tempo, the aggression. Serral, we're so used to seeing him being an immovable rock, something that just does not break under the pressure. But SoO is crashing into him hard. He's throwing everything at him. He's attacking on the north and the south, and he's probing for weakness.
Serral starting Hive Tech, actually, already thinking about that +3 missile attack upgrades. Potentially another Roach. Actually, those are the ones from earlier that he picked up and saved, I think. So he's going to redrop these into that middle line here on the 4th base. And SoO doesn't have anything nearby, so he's going to start on losing some drones. He's busy microing across the map at the same time. Lots of Ravagers here, by the way, in this army of Serral.
Yeah.
On the south side of his base. Spire now starting for SoO. No Hive just yet.
I think he's annoyed at that Roach drop, to be honest. He'd love to get that out of his base. A nice little poke forward here. SoO gets the position, and he is going to force Serral back on that north base. Serral trying to punish on the south side, but he's been pushed behind the hatchery, and that hatchery is getting dangerously low.
These corrosive buys here, they need to be dodged on both sides. Both players doing a fantastic job of it. And Serral's going to counter-attack with the pack of units here that he has at the bottom of the side of the map. He's defending on the north side now as well.
Yeah, you know, that was very nice play to hang on the north side. His reinforcements were coming in there to help him stabilize. That drop still has just a single Roach alive in it, continuing to dance between these bases and to be as annoying as possible. Both sides tied neck and neck in supply, but SoO starting to bank up resources. That worker advantage working out for SoO here.
The last Roach standing, looking to try and do some economic damage here on the other side of the map. +3 missile attack starting. SoO's making a bunch of spine crawlers, so I think he wants to make sure he can't really be counter-attacked by any Roaches, probably making them in a bunch of his mineral lines. And he's still pressuring that top side of the map here. It's such a tricky part to engage here, right? Because it's so narrow, so corrosive bites are going to be harder to dodge.
Once again, finding his way in on that south side. It's such a big map. And oh man, SoO taking an amazing trade on the north side. Serral caught with the wrong number of units in the wrong areas. He loses his 4th base. And things are starting to look very good for SoO here. SoO just barreling his way through. The Finnish Zerg player unable to keep up here and defend these locations. His army though, his army is still massive. His Ravager count still very high. And Serral, he's continuing the upgrade advantage. Already up a Carapace upgrade. He's got +3 range on the way. If Serral just keeps weathering this, he will have an immense counter-attack opportunity with a huge upgrade advantage and an army advantage a few minutes down the line from here.
It's so hard to chase against this army because corrosive bite is kind of covering the retreats, and every single time SoO uses that so well. He engages, pulls back. Now 5 Mutas on the way for SoO, looking to try and join that fight here to maybe snipe some of these Ravagers. In which case, we already have Hydralisks on the way for Serral, so he's adding the right unit to help counter this.
Oh, keeps on sniping off Serral's Overlords. None of them have been put on patrol paths. A bit sloppy here from the Finnish Zerg. Normally you'll put those spotting Overlords on patrols so they can't be corrosive biled. But Serral here continuing to have his vision pushed back. He's back on 3 bases. And even though these mutas, you know, Hydras can counter them, but Hydras can't be everywhere at once, and Serral still does not know about them. They're flying across the map now. They could cause big problems.
Yeah, I think Serral would love to finally take a good engagement, maybe go for the attack himself. He spotted the Spire, maybe that's what triggered the Hydralis production. Retaking that 4th base now.
Now we see patrol paths on those Overlords, that's better.
Maybe a Nidus now to go for a big attack, or what do you think? Because like it seems like you can engage into this in the middle of the map. SoO's just gonna pull back, spam corrosive bile, and then every time you're pushed back, you literally cannot push, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I think here you've got to take into account that SoO's composition is short term. It's Roaches, it's Ravagers, it's Mutas. You've got a Viper out now for Serral. You've got Hydras, you've got the superior Ravager count. These are better units for
He's going
Serral.
for the surround. Oh my god, and SoO sees this coming. No, but it's so late already. Let's see if he can escape.
He's up 10 army supply is Serral. His +3 range has kicked in. He's got a gigantic army advantage here. Coming in and getting on top of those Ravagers. The Mutas swinging on the south side, starting to focus down the Ravagers. Will they be the saving grace of SoO here? No, the Hydras find their way towards those Mutalisks. The Muta count does have the advantage, but the Hydras have the upgrades.
And SoO's entire army evaporated for the most part here, down to the last few Mutalisks. Serral with so much leftover on the ground here, trying to go for the attack, but yeah.
The Remax, there was too much bank there for SoO. SoO is remaxed not remaxed, sorry, but rebuilt a lot of his units. He's making a ton of Ravagers, and these Mutas continue to be a big problem for Serral. Serral, remember, he lost the 4th base earlier, and he's only at 45 workers.
Hydralis is gonna come to the rescue here. Serral finally resetting that economy here onto his 4th base. Every single time he's got Roaches on low hit points, he morphs them into Ravagers. Very nicely done.
All right, we're gonna go into SoO's camera here, see how does he try to solve this game. 180 supply, mostly Roach Ravager against Roach Hydra. Yes, he's down on upgrades, but you cannot doubt SoO's numbers. He has so many Roaches.
He sees the entire army on that 4th base, so I think if he attacks the south base, there maybe won't be enough there for Serral to prevent damage being taken. Oh, actually, no.
He's gonna, yeah, well, maybe Serral would expect that. So the Mutas are going down here, but the main army's actually going north here, getting a few of these drones. Remember, Serral does not have a lot of workers to begin with. SoO trying to click on that changeling. Oh, they're such pesky little units, so hard to click on.
So many Zergs right now going, okay, so SoO does that as well.
Yeah, it's not just us on the ladder, man. Even SoO here, fighting for his spot in the semi-finals of the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. The Roach Hydra coming down here for Serral. He's got an army that's not too much smaller, but one bad fight and he is down in the dumps because Serral's economy is bad. Only 43 workers to the 55 of SoO. SoO would love to engage right now, but he can't get over Ego. The range advantage of those Hydras, the +3 attack for Serral. These are all things that give Serral's army much more damage output.
Yeah, it's so difficult for both players to actually take a full-on engagement because of the corrosive bile potential. They both have a big number of Ravagers here in this case, and SoO is just posturing forward all the time. Serral setting up with a big counter-attack. He knows that defensively it's so hard for SoO to engage into him, so he says, you know what? I can actually afford to send a bunch of Roaches across the map for a counter-attack. And if you're maxed out, which SoO is, how is he supposed to reinforce and defend against this?
Oh, that's going to force him to attack. He has to pull the trigger here. He's going to land some nice biles. Serral does dodge out of the rest. He's got that Viper just waiting. He says, if you try to force your way in here, I'm going to use the Blinding Clouds. Muta's going back. He's sending Roaches on the way as well. Serral, of course, sniped the Roach Warren. He's going to go up into this 4th base as well. He's got to get the damage now. Serral's taking a while.
Oh my god, Serral trying to catch this army here of SoO that wasn't paying attention for just a second. SoO able to escape. Now looking to try and clean up the Roaches that are on his side of the map.
Serral, I think he could have microed those Roaches a bit better. A lot of them were stuck behind each other on the harassment, and they weren't attacking the drones. Oh, Biles landing there for SoO as well. Now, SoO, he's down in supply, but that's simply because he's waiting for the Roach Warren to finish. He's got the bigger bank, he's still got more units, he's still got more mining, and a 5th base going up on the south side. SoO showing some patience, which I love to see as more and more drones come down on this map.
And +2 carapace is now going to start for SoO. Neither player had started it up until now. If you look at his economy, it does make sense that he would start. He's got a lot of gas as well. SoO engaging to this army of Serral here. It's just so hard to chase still.
Yeah. That's why I love the Roach counterattacks, and he's got to do it again. He's going to do it again. The Mutas, though, catching it very early, and this gives SoO so much time to prepare and respond.
He was fishing for this, by the way. Like, he sent the Mutas at the bottom thinking that maybe Serral was going to do this. This is sick anticipation here by SoO.
Serral's going to go. He's going to find just as many Roaches to greet him. The Mutas have not done a lot. Remember, those Mutas only have +1. And against the Carapace Roaches, they just don't do that much damage. But the Roaches of SoO come down. They join up. And this counterattack is toast. Serral, though, pushing forwards on the north side of the map. Looking for an opening. He's got the army advantage. He's up about 9 supply. He's still got that +3 ranged attack advantage and 2 Vipers in the sky. Blinding Clouds, absolutely deadly in a pitched battle.
They're still looking to try and dodge that first set of corrosive bias here. Blinding Cloud gets dropped here.
A big one. Forefront. A big one right on top of SoO's army. And he's dodging these biles like a master. His units are splitting in all directions around these biles, pulling out of those ones as well. Serral takes a rather nice engagement. Gets 6 drones, is not able to get rid of the base though.
29 more Roaches on the way here for SoO, looking to try and remax as soon as he can. That's going to be earlier than Serral, whose economy is still a little bit behind. He did catch up very nicely, 42 walkers to 46. So some nice drone snipes. And still looking to try and attack here towards the bottom with another Roach intrusion.
And this time SoO hasn't spotted it. If SoO's army once again gets too deep on the map, you mentioned it before, you can't build more units when you're already maxed out, Todd. Those Roaches going to be coming in on the south side. They're going to try and dive into the 5th base at the same time, though SoO setting up a gigantic 2-pronged assault. And I'm not sure if Serral has enough units in position to defend.
And yeah, that's SoO. How is he supposed to react to this? He might just go for the full-on engagement and maybe some sort of base trade will ignite, but obviously he's clashing into the army of Serral right now. Serral moving forward, using the Blinding Cloud here in the middle of this fight.
That Ravager count is off the chain for both players. The Vials of SoO to start that fight massacred Serral's units. At the same time, he bullied him off his 4th base on the south. He's coming in on the north side for a flank. Serral getting sandwiched. He's still got a good army, but the Vials, the Roaches landing. SoO's got the overwhelming numbers. He's starting to move forward. Serral's small unit count, his Ravagers, his Hydras valiantly fighting. One more Blinding Cloud comes down. Those Roaches might be his saving grace. Serral going into the 3rd base of SoO, murdering the drones. He manages to hold on. Transfusers off his injecting queens land. He keeps his army alive. He kills 18 workers on the other side of the map, and they are both locked at 28 workers apiece. Serral still with the upgrade advantage. He's up in army supply, but SoO does have a fresh expansion. Serral may need to push across this map and finish it. I don't think he can sit back and let SoO catch up.
An eye for an eye, a Roach for a Roach. Still pretty even in supplies, but Serral now taking the lead. 28 workers to 28 workers, dead even. So with just a little bit more army, and he's upgrade leads. Paying dividends here in these fights, helping out so much.
+3 range attack for Serral, but +2 Carapace on the side for SoO. We're going to see both players' first-person views here. It's all potentially going to come down to the next engagement. Both players are broke. The next engagement will most likely decide the game. Serral taking a hidden base on the south side of the map, not retaking his 4th base. He's going to try and get that one down there and hope SoO doesn't check for it. Serral realizing he's got the superior army with the Vipers, the upgrades, and the Hydras, but you know what he doesn't have? He doesn't have a lot of stuff. SoO, on the other hand, he hasn't been making as fancy an army. This is like just the plumber army, you know, he's just going to fix everything. He's got a ton of units. They're going to just launch the Vials. The problem is if SoO overcommits, that's when the Blinding Clouds are going to land from those Vipers, and he's got to be really careful with that.
He did a very good job of moving out of it though earlier, SoO, I gotta say. Like every single time he's negated that very nicely. Looking to try and take a good position here. SoO kind of like has to siege with the corrosive bile where Serral wouldn't be able to fight. So right now Serral having to move back every single time they engage like this, has to not let this corrosive bile kill everything. The Vipers kind of dancing in the middle as well. Can't they would die very quickly.
They're fishing for mistakes from the other player. Both sides, many more Ravagers available, so SoO is looking to exhaust Serral's biles if possible. Catch him when they're on cooldown. He's going to start diving forward here. Serral slowly eating a few of these biles. This is absolutely insane. It's a bit of a standoff. Both players waiting for the other to walk into the corrosive bile, get impatient, and take a bad fight. Oh man, 280 Roaches for SoO alone, 208 from Serral.
That replay is going in your collection, pig.
Oh my lord. man, I'm going to be breaking out into cold sweats if this game goes much longer. This is absolutely insane. And Serral, his ability to not die when he's behind in Zerg vs. Zerg continues here. Does it though? It's even supply, equal workers, another base on the south side for SoO. Serral going to go for a single roach counterattack, and the standoff continues at the front. Just one moment of inattention, Biles landing on the other player, and this is going to go terribly.
Is Serral about to lose patience? Okay, no. Ooh. It's so scary against this many Ravagers, and earlier he did something that I think he would like to do, but it's still a little bit risky. To actually abduct some of these Ravagers and get rid of them.
And I was about to say the exact same thing, Todd. I would love to see some abducts in that standoff scenario, but Serral, he's afraid of losing the frontal engagement if he exhausts the Viper energy, and that is why he's saving it for the Blinding Cloud. But he's lost that hidden base. Serral's actually up in supply slightly right now. His army supply pretty much even. Once again, the more technical, better army in a pitched battle, but he can't force that pitched battle.
Yeah. Here we go. So these abducts going down here. Actually, one of these Ravagers getting away. Behind is the two other ones dying. The one Overlord following is like, please shoot me so you can do some friendly fire.
Still expensive. Oh, he's going to go for it. Does he get it? Yes.
Oh, got him.
You can't play with us. You know, the Overlord's always following the Roaches around, trying to hang out. The cool kids say no. Roach is going to split off on the south side of this map at the same time. Serral, I think he's realizing this army isn't as frightening, and he's just going to keep abducting units where he can. Those Vipers are getting fresh energy. They rejoin the army. SoO still posturing aggressively, but he hasn't spotted that Roach counterattack, and that could cause a massive problem.
It feels like SoO's army looks scarier somehow, even though he's the one without the Vipers. I don't know what it is.
A lot of Roaches on the other side of the map for Serral, and they're about to hit the economy. SoO has to make a decision very quickly. Does he go home or does he commit here? He's going to try to commit.
And he has to commit, I think. Serral waiting until the last second to use that Blinding Cloud here. SoO in a world of trouble. The supply starting to fall apart here for the Korean player. He has to go for it. Here we go.
The Blinding Clouds. He dives straight through the first wave of Blinding Clouds. Nicely done here by SoO. Landing Biles on the Ravagers. But Serral realizes if he can just retreat and survive, he has this game. He slaughters his own Baneling Nest to get back behind his wall. And he realizes he just needs to hang on. He's taken out the last fresh mining base of SoO. He's trying to get his own drones out, but SoO gonna catch them. Oh, Serral's economy gets shattered as well. Both players once again tied neck and neck on 15 workers apiece. These Roaches looking for the last bastion of SoO's economy, and they're gonna find it.
And SoO's running back home to try and catch these Roaches here. He knows that if he can catch them, kill them, his army still might be almost as big, if not bigger than Serral's here. So Serral's just gonna get out of there, regroup, and we start over a peak potentially, but both players completely out of drones for the most part. 12 workers to 11. Only SoO has a hatchery on location with minerals.
I love the way Serral there, he realized he only needed one more Roach attack. Rather than turning them all around to attack, he fired a single Roach to get that finishing blow. He's still up just 2 supply. It's 27 Roaches and 8 Ravagers for SoO, up against 18 Roaches and 10 Ravagers for Serral. It's a trap! Oh, he's coming in from both sides. A big Blinding Cloud lands in the middle. SoO caught in the middle of this Finnish sandwich. And I think Serral, does he have the numbers? He's still got that upgrade advantage. But SoO busting through on the south side. The Ravagers do not have as many hit points as those Roaches. And it seems like Serral, he does not have the army. There's too many Roaches. His drone's being pulled into the fray. Another Ravager goes down. SoO's focus fire, too good.
Oh, and one single abduct catches one of these Ravagers. That was 15% of SoO's army right there.
You don't hear that every day, but indeed it was. Serral's down at 9 workers, SoO at 13. Neither of them with a fresh base to mine, but SoO, he's got the income advantage at 55 minerals a minute. Another Ravager gets focused. The Bile does not do it. Serral losing patience. I don't know if he's got the numbers. 2 Roaches versus 3. He's trying to pull back his drone. SoO looking for the focus fire. He gets it. He's got to focus down that other Roach. Nicely done here by
This is the
SoO.
last Roach.
That's the last Roach, and with it, Serral taps out. GG. An incredible Zerg versus Zerg. Wow.
What a game. Down to the last Roach. Very few units left for both players. As crappy as it gets.
That's a moment people are going to remember. We've seen so many of these games, and we're so used to seeing Serral claw his way back into them. But SoO standing strong. And in that scrappy game there, managing to power through. You got to remember those Ravagers have 20 less hit points. And in a small battle like that last one, Serral went for the surround, forced the engagement. The Blinding Cloud, not as impactful as he was hoping for. The Roaches of SoO broke through on both sides, and it's just insane to see SoO actually being the more patient player there. Serral, the one to kind of break formation and in panic, took an engagement that wasn't quite the right one. SoO, though, oh man.
He was so proactive the whole game. He was the one always posturing forward, never overextending. Like you mentioned, Serral, at times, an absolute rock, doesn't take damage. He almost wants you to attack into him, but this time around, SoO he was too perfect with all of the attacks. Never losing patience, always using Corrosive Bite, pulling back right on time, and eventually found a defense in the armor of Serral there. Or not enough defense. A crack in his armor.
And that's it. Only even just the smallest mistakes being exploited here. As Serral, remember the Baneling drop early on in that game. The Banelings did not detonate correctly. They went for the Queen. Serral didn't detonate them on the drones. He missed out there. He lost many Overlords to Corrosive Bile before setting up patrol paths.
That was definitely, that changed the game for sure. That Baneling drop, I think he got connected immediately and gotten a whole bunch of drones. He would have been in a really nice spot. But Serral still kind of made the most of it, right? That Roach counter attack at the end was great. Almost put him back in it. But not quite enough. And just like that, our Korean player is going to be on match point here, heading into map number 4. Serral taking a deep breath. Needs to stay focused. He's going to need everybody's energy here to try and pull through this.
He definitely looks a little bit more frustrated and thrown off than normal. I've seen him lose maps, I've seen him lose games and get frustrated, but he's going to need to get that killer face. He needs to gather his energy, and he needs you, Poland, to give him your energy. Up here in the top left-hand side, he is Serral.
And his opponent in the reds is playing fantastic, representing Team Chivo. It is SoO.
Serral's been on the brink of defeat before, but you've got to close it out. One more map here for SoO to finish the entire thing. Serral, of course, needs to win the next 2 in a row to close the series out. The winner gets to go through to the semifinals. The loser gets to go home with a good performance, but definitely not what these two players are looking for. Anything but the championship is a disappointment for both of them, especially for Serral. If he doesn't win that, he said it earlier, there's one trophy missing from his trophy cabinet right now, and it's this one. He has not managed to win here in Katowice just yet, and he'd love to add that to his collection.
Yeah, gonna have to do better than in the previous maps. It's crazy because like it's not even like SoO is cheesing or anything. No, he's just playing straight up, but really, really well. Like it almost feels as if he was the favorite all along with the way he's taking these fights and handling these games. Serral did some things very well. I like that he went for Hive and the +3 attack, but he wasn't quite able to maximize having reached that point. And the Vipers, they helped a little bit, but did they help enough in those fights? Not really, it felt like.
I mean, once again, same as in that that second game, you know, SoO finding a way to just micro his Roaches and Ravagers better than any other player. His ability to poke in and out over and over and over again and slowly fill up Serral's stress meter by just harassing but never committing to the engagement. It's the moment you're committed, you're deep in a fight, your units are spread out in a sort of column, a battle line. That's when the Blinding Clouds can land and ruin your day, but it never got to that point. It never got to the Lurkers. You try to attack into Lurker, Viper, that's where your day is not, it's not going to work with Roach Ravager. But remember, Serral's economy, it wasn't that big. He wasn't able to add the Lurkers, which is kind of the finishing piece to the puzzle there for him. And
I mean, you did talk earlier in that map, in last map, about how the bases are spread out, especially the 3rd and 4th in particular. And I think SoO used that beautifully. And also to counter the Vipers, he made just a ton of Ravagers. So we have a quick, or fairly quick lair here starting from SoO. What do you make of this? Is he going to do the same as he did earlier in map number 2?
Yeah, there's a few different builds that can come off this. Definitely looks like just a gasless Roach build. So, you know, wall off with the Roach Horn and the Evo Chamber, go up into the Roaches, and he does have a 3rd Queen on the way. Very curious to see how far he drones off it. I imagine SoO's, he's not the type to do like the really, really fast one. So most likely a similar to attack in that previous game. Remember, Cyber Forest, the shortest rush distance in the current map pool, and one where a Roach Speed +1 attack can get over there with lightning speed.
Yeah, the +1 missile started very early, but so did Serral, just shortly behind SoO. Rushing that third base quite a bit quicker. Obviously, both players going to be able to know exactly where the opponent sat in terms of expansions, thanks to these overlords out on the map, so SoO already knows. And he can kind of try and formulate a plan here on how to siege that and when he wants to attack it. 2 more overlords on the way. Gets supply blocked here a little bit.
Yeah, interesting. Of course, I think SoO's probably done with droning. As I say that, he adds 3 more. So SoO's going to build just a couple more workers and a much quicker third base. Nowhere near as committed to the attack as he was in the previous game. So SoO kind of just basically tacking up. He's saying, look, you've got a few more workers, a faster third, but guess what? My queens are getting rid of your overlord vision. I've got faster upgrades. So this is more kind of even footing for both sides. Serral still needs to respect that push. He's in fact going up to 48 workers. Wow. Serral really pushing his economy after seeing that third hatchery go down.
Yeah, maybe a little greedy here, because right now SoO's only making roaches, so if he does a similar push to what we saw in Game 2, that could be very hard to hold on against. Especially if Serral has to pull queens. I don't know how many extra ones he has. I see he's adding 1 more right now. Maybe that's for the third base. Yeah, he only has 2 right now.
Yep. Definitely just wants to focus on the roaches. Does have a third queen on the way and an overseer for scouting. SoO, these 2 overlords, still looking to keep Serral in the dark by pushing back those overlords. +1 in roach speed, almost finished. SoO going to start to march across this map. He's even going to drop a creep highway out of his overlords.
He's adding the roaches away from the vision of that one overlord here. And nice creep drop here from the overlords. That's going to give a little bit of extra speed here to these queens and roaches stepping on it.
I think SoO might be faking it though. By dropping that creep, it looks much more committed. By seeing the queens, you think that's really committed, but guess what? There's a few drones, there's +2 on the way. The queens are going back to inject. More drones being added in here for SoO. Don't get me wrong, I think SoO's still going to posture, but it may be very similar to that second game that we played earlier. Yeah, he's going to look to move forward, maybe pick off a unit or 2, but so far he's already forced a big overreaction. Serral is not assigning the gas to the +2 upgrade because he's worried about a horde of roaches rushing in. His overseer comes in, he sees the Sweller drones on the third, and Serral is going to respond immediately. Is it a Nidus Worm or is it +2? It's +2. Serral wants to add the upgrades. He doesn't want to go out in a short game. He's going to use his superior roach count to pressure across the map, and he's going to drone up behind it.
Yeah, Serral with the correct reaction here. He wanted to know if there was an attack coming, so obviously he can check in the middle of the map with his units and overlords, but also checking that saturation on the third base. A great way to know where your opponent's economy is at.
Yeah, that is very good scouting.
5 overlords on the way, by the way, for SoO. He's trying to make a lot more units here momentarily. 29 roaches to 19.
SoO stopping at 53 workers. Oh, that +2 timing is going to be brutal. Overlord speed, more drones, more gases. Serral has not been as perfect as we expect him to be today, and committing to that much stuff ahead of your opponent that's not fighting units is bad. Losing a roach or 2 here for free. Overlord speed, that doesn't help you in the battle. Going up to 63 workers, that's a 10 worker advantage. He sees not that many drones on SoO's third base. Serral realizes he's got the lower army and he just needs to defend for the next few minutes. But with the +2 advantage, I think SoO has a potential opportunity to break him.
It's not going to be for very long. I think the +2 of Serral's... Actually, I thought he started closer. I look at the production tab. It's going to be definitely a proper window during which SoO is going to have that going for him.
Yep, and he's looking to move across the map now. This could be it, his tournament life on the line. Serral is going to need to stand strong. He sees those rocks going down, and he's got his overlords on patrol paths. He's not going to have his vision annihilated this time. He's got to keep his positioning perfect. SoO has shown some of the best Roach Ravager positioning and control we've ever seen, and he's used that to get this 2-1 advantage. Can he use it to seal the deal? Serral slow to reposition. An uncharacteristically slow reaction from the Finn, and SoO gains position. Serral has to meet him in the open ground there. Equal positioning for both sides. The queens are down there. Bile spreading across both sides. SoO's upgrade advantage is tremendous in this engagement, but the angling of Serral, very good. Those biles spread across the battle line. Is he going to be able to break through? SoO microing very well, but the Ravagers adding so much damage from the back lines.
And Serral had to use queens to do this, so that's no injects that are hitting here for now. It looks like he might be able to hold on. Pulling ahead in supply. Did SoO overextend here? Did he stay too long here in this attack? Serral pulling back a little bit, regrouping, and I think he's held for now.
Wow, I mean, that what I
10
thought,
Walker leads.
I thought it was a slow response from Serral, and SoO did as well. SoO saw that his army wasn't in position. He committed hard there, but Serral had those queens down, brought them on the ramp. He spread his piles flawlessly, and we saw him individually pulling back weakened Ravagers to keep them alive. His Ravager count stays alive. As you said, Todd, he's up 10 workers. The upgrades are even, and now Serral showing what we expect from him. That steady defense in the face of a very scary assault. He's now got full vision on the map. He's up in economy, and he can take a 4th base. He can add more and more Roaches and Ravagers, and it is Serral in control of this game.
Yeah, and Serral, with the way this series has been going, SoO's multiple attacks, the previous game in particular, I think he's looking to try and take things slow here for a little bit, get more upgrades going here. Carapace is gonna start and take a breath here for a little bit, because finally he's stabilized, he's out of danger here. That was a convincing hold.
Yeah, I thought we might see the world champ go out for a second there in that fight, but a convincing hold and definitely restoring faith for those who have faltered in their belief in the God King himself. The Night King, Serral, he's got that beautiful income advantage. Both players going to go for a 4th base. Now, I wonder what the follow-up is. We haven't seen Nidus, we haven't seen Tunneling Claws, we haven't seen Hydras or Lurkers. And,
is he playing a little bit scared maybe because he knows that SoO is likely to just keep on messing Roaches and go for another wave?
Yeah, I think definitely he's kind of realized that's the sort of game he's in, you know, and there's a threat where if you start pushing your tech and economy too high, it's not like playing against a Terran, say, where you get a 20-30 worker lead and you go, yay, this is a good thing. In Zerg vs. Zerg, unless you're infinitely ahead, that's really bad because it means they're going to have too many Roaches, and when you're maxed out, your opponent's army is bigger than yours. Here we see Serral is towing that line, so he's only down 6 army supply. 3 Roaches, that's manageable. That's not a big deal. But if it's 10, 12 Roaches, you got to 75, 80 drones, you've got a whole bunch of supply tied up in Hydras with no upgrades or something like that. That's where things get nasty.
And that +1 Carapace here will finish momentarily. SoO setting up an attack on the left-hand side, which I think Serral saw coming because he had an overload there, so he's splitting some of his own units. There is more for SoO, and he realizes that. He pounces on top of this intrusion of Roaches here of Serral.
Serral's thinking about trapping it, but he realized the other army posturing through the middle is going to lock him in place. Both sides keeping each other back with the corrosive piles. The Roach Ravager going to come forward here for SoO.
God, they're so good. Back. They're so good at dodging these corrosive piles. They really always negate the damage as much as they can. SoO, if you can get on the high ground here before Serral's setup, okay, that's not going to happen. He was definitely trying to fish for that mistake here, and as Tunneling Claws is about to complete Serral, I wouldn't be surprised if he started going for some counterattack.
A ton of Roaches just went to the left-hand side. This right-hand side is where the Roach count is actually superior for SoO. Serral trying to constantly adjust the numbers on the fly. This is so good from SoO. His ability to just shift his numbers and say, you've got the wrong number of units there. Instead, he shifts his whole army up to the north. Serral gets there in time, and SoO simply disengages. He pokes forward. Ooh, corrosive piles. But SoO actually taking the worst end of that fight for sure. At the same time, though, his reinforcement's going to come up. Serral says, I am keen to fight, mate. I think I've got the better end of the opening stages in this battle, and I am ready to pounce.
He's up 1 upgrade as well. Jumps right on top of this army of SoO that's not even going to try to pull back. And Serral is getting the clean up. Look at his supply.
Devastating defense there for Serral. He was on the back foot, getting pulled this way, pulled that way. He eventually had enough, and he jumped on top of Serral, and he's knocked that army down. That was such an efficient engagement. And now the Finnish player pushing through for the victory. He's going to try and force his way up this ramp. He knows he's got the upgrade advantage. He knows he's got the Ravager advantage as well. But SoO here with some very good defensive positioning. Serral, though, he's got the numbers. He's going to force the issue.
He's got so many more Roaches. He smells blood in the water. SoO might have overextended. Finally, Serral getting the right read, getting the right defense, as opposed to the previous game. Trying to finish SoO off, but SoO's doing a good job staying on the high ground and defending, so Serral splits a bunch of Roaches here into that 4th base, and SoO's going to be cut off from that position.
Yep, Roaches and Ravagers branching around on all sides. A counter-attack on the left-hand side gets caught, but they burrow, they tuck their heads in. And at the same time, this Roach Ravager army posturing. This time it's Serral's turn to be the bully, using the corrosive piles to keep SoO at arm's length. At the same time, his Roaches burrowing into multiple bases. Serral has got the overwhelming numbers. He's engineered a series of fantastic engagements. And that's going to be it. Tied up 2-2. Doubt not. For he is Serral, and he is not going to go out that easily.
We are all tied up in this Zerg mirror between two of the absolute best to ever do it. They're ready to adopt him, man.
Oh, yeah. I personally, I mean, if I had the power to give out Australian citizenship, I'd be throwing at him right now and trying to put him on a plane. Bring
We're
him
all
back
bribing
home.
him.
Yeah, I think we'd all love to have Serral represent us. And I think we all do feel a lot of pride looking at this young man who's trained so hard over the years and grinded his way to the top little bit by little bit. He's been playing for many years now, and really only last year did he ascend to that level where people couldn't touch him. He's been mostly unstoppable, but SoO so far making him bleed a lot. This one getting dragged down into the mud. This match is getting very, very chaotic. And it's, I mean, frankly, I'm just happy the 3-0 portion of the day is done.
Oh, yeah.
After
At least for now.
After the way the day started, it's good to have an action-packed back and forth match, isn't it?
Has Serral figured out SoO, though? Because we've seen a lot of the same from SoO. These roach attacks, which he did very well, but now Serral finally getting the right defense. So, do we see a similar scenario perhaps in game number 5? Do we see something crazy? Would they be willing to put it all on the, on the line with so much to be played for?
Yeah, I mean,
down to one single map.
SoO's crazy, dude. I love SoO's confidence. It's his strength. It's his magic thing. It's his ability to just throw caution to the wind. But from what I've seen, I think he is confident in his straight-up play. His Roach Ravager control is insane. I think he did mess up with that engagement, over-committing a little bit. Like, there was this weird moment where he split the Roaches off and he said, I'm going to keep fighting your entire army with this small section of my Roach Ravager and just try to keep you occupied. But he took far too much damage doing that. He needed to kind of be dancing on the edge of fighting, but not quite committing. If SoO can play like he did in Game 2 and Game 3, I think a standard straight-up play is a great method for him, something he can use to his advantage. And interestingly enough, neither of these players have tried to Nidus Worm the other. It's all been full commitment to army because they've absolutely respected the other player's ability to overpower them at any moment if they allocate resources anywhere but the Roach Tech.
Let's get map number 5 on the way. Are you ready?
You better be ready, because up here in the top left-hand side, the man who will not give up easily, bringing it back to 2-2 apiece in the top left, his name is Serral. And over here in the bottom right-hand side, in the red, the Zerg player challenging Serral for his crown. It's SoO.
All right, so no crazy cheese early on here from either player. We're going to have these standard openers. It seems like Serral prefers to grab his hatchery a little bit earlier, by the way.
Yeah, he loves that 16 hatch. Not only does it allow you to sync up both your queens, but it means you can delay your overlord because you get that supply slightly earlier out of the hatch to start your queen in the main base. So whilst he has one less drone mining for a little bit at the start, he will get his 20th drone out earlier than SoO. It ends up very even. And for those players who love their injects being perfectly synced up, it just makes them feel a little bit nicer. That kind of Zerg compulsiveness, you know, it's just so nice to have your injects all in the same timer.
It reminds me at a time where Zergs, they love to go for, you know, double hatchery before pool and all that jazz. There were a couple Zergs that were like, no, actually, I'll just make my pool on 14 and then go for hatchery. Guys like Snoot, just because they love hitting their injects, getting their queens early, building up on energy and all that. And yeah, it's still pretty good, obviously.
Absolutely. The power of the lava injects. You don't get 4 of those little wriggly boy lavas out. You do only get 3 per injects as opposed to Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm. But Zerg has a lot more tools at their disposal. Ravagers, Lurkers, all sorts of things that make up for that. And Serral, a master of using all of them, especially the longer the game goes. I'm still a little bit shaken just by the fact that someone was finally able to take one of those late game scrappy maps off Serral. He's normally just on a different level to everyone he plays against. But that year 0 win by SoO, really, it's given me confidence in SoO's ability to close this series out.
All right, we'll see if perhaps he can deliver on this. Serral, only 20 years old, by the way. Absolutely insane what he's achieved at such a young age. Still so much more room to grow, but it feels almost as if he doesn't even need to. He's just so insanely good already. So he's going to start running across the map with some links. Definitely always very, one of the more proactive Zergs, I think, in terms of with his links getting some scouting going for run-bys and stuff like that, even though in ZVZ not going to be happening nearly as much because that's a very big commitment when you go for that.
Ooh, does want to slide the scout in. He's going to get those Zerglings in. Commitment to 4 this time from Serral. Realizing that SoO's loving this gasless opening, he'd love to keep these Lings alive for another 20 or 30 seconds, because when his Ling speed kicks in, he can basically run circles forever. But SoO, very, very on top of his Queen and Ling micro. You can see the way Serral, he never lets a unit go down for free. He's going to try to keep it alive, but yeah, SoO's microing the Queen. He should be able to shut that down. Ling speed's still just a bit too far away.
Come here, you.
Let me go!
And what is Serral thinking now that he spots the lair? I guess this is similar to what we saw in the 2 previous games in terms of going for roach speed a little bit quicker and on 2 bases. Is there anything maybe a little bit more offensive that SoO could do? Maybe a Nidus, you think? Or is that just super unlikely still?
He definitely could do that. He's still droning quite hard here as SoO, so it looks like an almost perfect mirror of the previous match. As I say that, 12 Zerglings on the way. So Serral going to look to pressure that 3rd base a little bit. And behind that, going to add a few more drones and then go into the Roach Tech himself. So Serral definitely has to keep these Zerglings alive. That is an investment, a valuable resource. Even though the Zerglings are going to be terrible at fighting Roaches front on, they've got to try and exert a little bit of pressure and stay alive to just keep kind of taxing SoO's APM, getting scouting information and playing it out that way. That Ling trying to get in. No Roaches down here just yet. Is he actually going to be able to get a cancel, Todd?
I think that's what he knew was going to happen there. He analyzed the situation perfectly, gets the cancel, gets the drone, and behind this he still has those Lings that have so much initiative in terms of running around, potential counter-attack capability later on, and now Serral's going to be the one that already has a 3rd base set up and that he can inject on. Roach production begins on his side of the map, and his clear reconstitution is not going to be too far behind SoO's. Ooh, he almost went for it.
Could have run
Changed his mind last second.
I mean, you know there's a lot of Roaches being built for SoO right now, so there's a good chance you get in the base, you go, yay, and then 4 Roaches pop out and you go down. So, as I said, they're a valuable resource. I like Serral being patient, keeping them alive. Both sides building up their Roach count right now. These Zerglings continuing to just posture around, look for any exposed edges, anything where you can get some free pickoffs.
SoO scouts the full extent of that 3rd base, which has about 6-7 drones mining the Queen. And right now, he must be starting to think about when to attack and if he should attack at all. He's trying to corner those Lings.
Nice movement here by SoO. Going to shut down most of those. Roach speed is now on the way for Serral, as well as +1 Carapace. Interesting to see that +1 Carapace upgrade queuing up there before +2 range. That's got to be a misclick, right? That's actually not nearly as good as +2 range for Serral. So I think that is a big mistake for Serral. His Lings come in, aren't even able to get a single worker kill, and yeah, that's going to be a big mistake because
maybe he will want to play with more Lings if he does like a Roach attack and reinforces with Lings.
It's too late in the game. That's what I was thinking as well. And I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, if you're on 40 drones, maybe like you can do that sort of Ravage a Roach Ling. But in this scenario, it's a bizarre choice by Serral, and I definitely think it's an accident. Has been contaminated, so his poor upgrade has been slowed down. He, of course, if he doesn't click on that Evo chamber, he doesn't get to see what we see, that beautiful little Carapace picture there.
Don't do it, don't do it.
And
he did it.
Double contaminate there. Serral is going for Overlord speed. He's got the worker advantage. He's up 4 workers. That cancel on the 3rd earlier was absolutely brilliant. And more and more Roaches on the way for both sides. Serral up at 59 workers. Overseers posturing in. Neither player trying to go for a big swing, but SoO, he's not building his economy too high. Only 55 workers. Looks like SoO once again is saying the secret to my success in this game is going to be bullying with Roach Ravager. But Overseers on both sides slowing down the upgrades, and Serral choosing the important +2 upgrade there, which is very good because I feel like this would be such a great position for Serral if he'd started his +2 on time. But going for the Carapace and SoO also going for Carapace means he's effectively just going to be down an entire upgrade. And that is big in just Roach versus Roach.
Yeah, what could make up for that if it just takes like a really good fight?
Yeah, it's all going to be about the angling, the positioning, and how the corrosive biles land. to make up for that fact. He does have a few more workers this whole time, so Serral does have more money. That's what's leading into his supply advantage, the faster 4th base as well. But SoO's upgrades are finished, and SoO no doubt will be pushing in the near future. I think he's going to wait till he's maxed out, he's going to add more Ravagers, and he's going to really just try to find angles to bully Serral off this map. For now, SoO not doing anything creative. I think he's just decided Roach Ravager multi-prong. It's what's given him success so far. It's what he's going to try and finish the series with.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of Roaches in this CVZ, to be honest. Not so much more units than that as far as Hydralisks, Lurkers and all that go. A lot of Roaches being made and players trying to make stuff happen in the mid-game, as they are right now here. Serral now starts with the +2 missile. He's one upgrade behind. They're both maxed out. And SoO's army is actually bigger on top of having one more upgrade.
The zoning piles on the south side, fantastic there from Serral, but he is outnumbered and out-upgraded. He's also split Roaches off. He's got to play very defensively.
Got Roaches in the 3rd base.
Nice counterattack, that's important. His own army is so much smaller, so he can't fight this in a pitched battle in the open. He's just got to slow this push down. He may need to run his drones away. This is a very scary army from SoO, potentially game-ending. Serral cannot fight it in the open. He's got to pull back.
Yeah, still looking to try and dodge this corrosive buys. SoO doing a good job of that as well. Both players always reposturing. The Roaches on the other side of the map, I think they were finally sniped.
Serral wants to hang on to this base. If it goes down, his 4th will go down as well. It's on the other side. He's going to try and commit to the engagement, but SoO landing some incredible biles. He's got the concave. SoO here taking a very good engagement. Both sides' armies just getting slaughtered. It's an absolute slugfest. The biles landing. They're trying desperately, frantically to dodge the other player's corrosive biles. Serral with 3 red hit point Ravagers in the rear. 1 gets focused down. A big Roach reinforce for SoO. Is it going to be enough to overwhelm the 5th?
Yeah, the drones being pulled as well to try and tank some of the damage at the front. Corrosive bites almost landing in the middle of these Ravagers. SoO has so much left over now with the supply leads.
Oh, he might have done it. SoO here just committing with mass Roach Ravager, having less workers, less economy, but the better upgrades so huge throughout this as well. Serral unable to hang on, and he has been eliminated. SoO doing the impossible and taking down the BlizzCon World Champion. An impressive display. A lot of shock there from all of us, the fans around the world, but SoO, there is a reason he has made it to more grand finals than just about any other player in Starcraft's history. He is such a powerhouse, so decisive, and even against Serral, he does not falter. He takes that win 3-2, and I can't wait to hear from the man himself. We'll be back with an interview in just a moment.